let's talk about the value of freelance communities. And first of all, what is a freelance community? Well, basically, this is primarily online, particularly in this day and age, a platform where there is a community of freelancers who are discussing ideas, sharing best practice, maybe talking about opportunities to collaborate and work together, sharing projects and advice. And these can happen online, as I say, primarily through channels like Slack, maybe Circle, maybe there's a forum on a website for freelancers. And there's plenty of these out there. There are many that are just for freelancers generally, and there are others that specialize in certain areas. So it could be for marketers. It could even go as detailed as for web developers on a certain platform or whatever. So you can kind of identify the platforms and the communities that are best for you. Now, obviously, difficult at this moment in time, but some of those also translate into offline communities where they may host events and you can meet in person and build up those relationships. Again, I'll link to the video, but freelancing can be a lonely world at times, particularly as you're just starting out and you're going through that transition from being involved in a team to working essentially by yourself. And these communities can help mitigate that and give you some great contacts to work with. And also, again, I'll link to the video about collaborating. There'll become a point in your freelance business where you may want to look at collaborating with other freelancers, and communities is a fantastic way of finding those people who blend well with your skill set, who you have something in common with and you would enjoy working with. And also in terms of, maybe if you've been employed, you may have had a professional development plan or a framework for your ongoing training and development. Now, you're obviously going to want to keep improving as a freelancer as well. And there are plenty of areas you can do that through online courses. But the communities are also a good space to learn because you can learn off other people's case studies and examples of work. But also people are sharing in these communities best practice in terms of what they're doing, or maybe updates to certain platforms and channels and algorithms, again, depending on what your service is. But the communities are a great way to keep your finger on the pulse in terms of what's developing, particularly as a freelancer. Now, in terms of how to go about engaging in these communities, what you really want to avoid is steaming in there and offering your service. To make a good member of a community, it's all about offering value. So you should be going in there, maybe get the lay of the land initially, just have a reads of some posts and exchanges. Excuse me. And kind of look into how the communication of that platform works, because every community has its own little niche of how they communicate with each other. Once you get a feel for the space and you're happy that it's a platform that you'd like to engage with and it seems like a like-minded group of people, the best thing to do is to answer any questions. Most of these platforms and communities have a little channel or a section or on the forum about questions. So they might be asking about, I've had this problem with XYZ client. How would you go about it? If you have something to offer, maybe you've been through that experience, start to answer those queries, give your perspective and add some value to the community, and just keep doing it. Set a time. What you want to avoid is getting too distracted by these communities, and they can become that because there's lots of conversations going on. Maybe set 1 or 2 times in the week in your calendar to get away from your kind of like all the tasks you're focused in on, to jump into these communities, see what the latest questions are people are asking, and go ahead and offer value. Over time, you'll become known as a valuable resource within that community, and people might even start coming to you with queries. And that's when you can develop those relationships where maybe people want to know a bit more about your service and there can be opportunity for work. But that isn't what you go into these communities for. It's to meet like-minded people, share best practice, build relationships, and out of that potentially can come work. But that should be very much a secondary thought as you go into these communities. Now, in terms of where to find them, the easiest way is to just search. Obviously, if you're working with any other freelancers, you can ask them if they're part of communities as well. And I'm very happy to go into detail on the communities I'm involved with. So if anyone's interested, you can find my contact details in the description. But also to do your research, just Google particular communities. There'll be a long list of them. Often when you're in an existing community, people will recommend another one which suits your needs, and that's how you can build up. What you really want to be, I think, is at about 2 or 3 of these communities. You can get a bit bogged down if you get in too many, and you can maybe not be able to offer the value because you're spread too thin. If you're in 2 or 3 that are a good fit for you, that's when you can commit enough time, I believe, to be a valued member of that community and build up your credibility. So yeah, absolutely advocate. Fantastic way to have some collaboration and build up your expertise and relationships by using freelance communities. So do take a look if you're not already in them, and engage, offer value, and I'm sure you'll find value in that process.